Have you ever wondered how to truly know someone? Not the mask they wear in public, not the image they project to impress, but their real character. We spend so much time trying to analyze others, reading their words, their resumes, their reputations, but I'll tell you, it only takes two things. If you pay attention to just these two, you'll see through the surface straight into the heart of who they are. And strangely, most people miss it because they're too busy listening to what's said rather than watching what's revealed. Now, before I tell you what those two things are, let me warn you, when you learn to see clearly, you may not always like what you see, for it's far easier to be fooled, to believe the pleasant mask, than to witness the truth beneath. But if you wish to understand people, to navigate life without constant disappointment, you must look beyond appearances. You must see how a man behaves, not when all is well, but when the world resists him. You must observe not the grand declarations of kindness, but the small, unnoticed gestures that reveal everything. The first thing, then, is this. Pay attention to how someone treats those who cannot benefit them. It is easy to be polite to the boss, charming to the lover, gracious to the powerful. That is no great feat. But how do they treat the waiter, the cleaner, the stranger, with nothing to offer? Do they still show respect? Do they still recognize the humanity in those who stand outside their circle of advantage? If so, you are seeing true character. For the man who bows only to kings is a slave to status, not a free human being. And the second, watch how they respond when things go wrong. Anyone can smile in fair weather, but when the storm comes, masks fall away. Do they grow cruel? Do they blame? Do they seek scapegoats? Or do they remain steady, humble, perhaps even gentle in the face of adversity? This is the test. Character is not displayed in comfort, it is revealed in crisis. Just as tea shows its flavor only when placed in hot water, so too does a person reveal their essence only when life burns. Watch carefully, and you will learn all you need to know. Now, think of your own life. Have you not seen it? A friend who is delightful until they are inconvenienced, and then suddenly you see the sharp edge of contempt, or perhaps another, quiet and unassuming, who, in a moment of difficulty, shows you a strength you never imagined. Life, you see, is always giving you clues. The truth of character is not hidden. It is simply ignored. We are so enchanted by words, so seduced by appearances, that we overlook the plain evidence before us, how one treats the powerless and how one bears the unbearable. And yet, this truth cuts both ways. For if you wish to see others, you must also be willing to see yourself. How do you treat those who can do nothing for you? How do you respond when things collapse? Do you grow bitter or do you grow deeper? Do you lash out or do you learn? The measure you use on others is also the measure that reveals your own soul. So, in watching the world, you are also given a mirror. And though it may sting, that mirror is the greatest teacher you will ever encounter. But why only these two tests? Because words are slippery. People can lie with ease. Even actions, when staged for display, can deceive. But spontaneous reactions, those moments when there is nothing to gain and nowhere to hide, those cannot be faked. When a man thinks no one is watching, when he believes the powerless cannot harm him, his mask slips. When misfortune crushes his plans, his true essence emerges. These are the cracks through which truth leaks out. And if you are patient, observant, willing to look without judgment, you will always see who stands before you. Let us not forget, all of us wear masks. Society requires it. We play roles, we adapt to circumstances. This is not wrong, it is necessary for the play of life. But character is revealed not in the role, but in the improvisation. When the script falls apart, when the lights go out, when the costume tears, who steps forward then? That is the self behind the self. That is the reality behind the image. And if you can see that in others, you will no longer be fooled by their stagecraft. You will know their truth. So how do you practice this seeing? First, slow down. Stop being intoxicated by appearances. When you meet someone, don't rush to believe their words. Watch them quietly. See how they greet the one who serves their food. See how they react when delayed, when contradicted, when embarrassed. These little moments are windows into the soul. Second, cultivate patience. The truth of character is not revealed in one meeting. It unfolds over time, like a flower. You must be willing to wait, to observe, to resist the urge to judge too quickly. For only then does reality show itself. And remember, even when you see, do not be arrogant. Everyone fails these tests at times. Even the kindest person may lose patience. Even the wisest may break in crisis. Character is not about perfection, it is about pattern. What emerges again and again when no one is watching, when nothing is to be gained, when everything is falling apart. If you can discern the pattern, you will know the person. And if you can discern your own, you will begin the great work of transformation, not into someone else, but into the truest version of yourself. When you see these two tests, how one treats the powerless and how one responds to difficulty, you begin to notice something else. People reveal themselves most not in what they seek, but in what they avoid. The arrogant avoid humility, the cruel avoid compassion, the insecure avoid silence. Pay attention not only to what people do, but to what they cannot bear to face. In their avoidance lies the map of their soul, and in your own avoidance, you will find the shadow of your own becoming. This is why wisdom traditions always speak of mirrors. Life is a hall of mirrors. The cruelty you notice in another may be pointing to something unacknowledged within yourself. The generosity you admire is also within you, waiting to be awakened. So when you watch how others behave, don't simply use it to judge them. Use it to understand yourself. For the danger in learning how to see character is that you become a critic, a judge, a moralist. That is just another mask. The point is not to condemn others, but to learn the art of compassion. Consider this. A man who lashes out when he fails is often a man who has never been taught to sit with his own fear. A woman who belittles the servant may be one who has never been honored herself. When you see behavior in this way, you no longer see villains and heroes, you see human beings caught in the play of causes and conditions. And then a strange thing happens. Instead of despising those who fail the two tests, you may begin to understand them. And in understanding, you release yourself from bitterness and blame. Still, it remains true. If you wish to know who to trust, who to walk beside, who to share your life with, these two are the surest guides. The small acts toward the powerless and the reactions in the storm. In those two places, the truth cannot hide. And the more you observe, the more you'll see that most of society runs on the opposite principle. People polish their surfaces, curate their words, stage their kindness, but when the play is over, when no audience watches, when life pushes them against the wall, that is where reality shows. Think of the great teachers, saints, sages. They did not earn reverence because of their speeches, but because of how they lived. The Buddha was remembered not only for his wisdom, but for his gentleness with the poorest beggar. Christ was remembered not for his arguments, but for how he treated the lepers, the outcasts, the children. These stories endure because they reveal something timeless. That true character is not about public triumphs, but about private truths. It is not how one behaves on the stage, but how one moves when no one seems to care. And so, if you wish to see clearly, become a student of the ordinary. Watch the moments others overlook. See how a man opens a door for another or lets it slam. Notice if a woman speaks with kindness to the child or only to the adult. Observe whether patience lives in their breath or whether irritation spills out in every word. These are not trivial details. They are the fingerprints of the soul. For in the end, character is not built in grand gestures, but revealed in the smallest choices, repeated 1,000 times, until they form a pattern. Now, Let me offer a paradox. Even as you learn to see others, you must not cling too tightly to your conclusions. For human beings are not fixed. A man cruel today may be compassionate tomorrow. A woman impatient today may grow into great patience through suffering. To freeze people in your judgment is to deny the very essence of life, which is change. The art is to see clearly without hardening, to know what is, without assuming it will always be so, to discern the truth of this moment, while leaving space for the mystery of becoming. This, then, is the balance: clarity without condemnation, discernment without arrogance. You observe, you see, you learn, and you also forgive. For remember, you too are under observation. Others are watching how you treat the powerless. Others are seeing how you respond in difficulty. And they too will know your character by these things. You cannot hide. Life is always revealing you. So the work is not only to see others clearly, but to live in such a way that you yourself can be seen without shame, to become the kind of person whose truth is worth revealing. Ask yourself then, what do my smallest actions reveal? How do I treat the stranger, the one with nothing to give? How do I respond when my plans crumble, when illness comes, when someone wounds me? These are not hypotheticals. Life is always testing you, always showing you to yourself. Every frustration is an examination. Every encounter is an opportunity. And if you fail, it is not punishment, it is practice. For you will be tested again. And each time, you are given the chance to reveal not the mask, but the essence. Not the role, but the real. Let us return to the beginning. You asked, how do we see someone's true character? And the answer was simple. Watch how they treat those who cannot benefit them and how they behave when life burns them. But now, at the end, the answer deepens. For the real secret is this: in seeing others, you see yourself. The world is your mirror. Every character revealed is also a reflection of your own potential for good, for cruelty, for strength, for collapse. And when you see this, you no longer seek only to measure others. You seek to awaken yourself. The wise man, then, does not merely test others, he tests himself. He notices when he grows sharp with the powerless, and he softens. He notices when difficulty makes him bitter, and he turns instead to curiosity. He sees his own patterns, and little by little, he transforms. This is the true purpose of seeing, not to judge, but to become. For in the end, the greatest gift is not knowing who others are, it is knowing who you are. And once you know, you can move in the world with a freedom no mask can offer. So let me leave you with this thought. If you wish to see the truth of others, watch them in these two moments, when they stand above the powerless and when they stand beneath misfortune. And if you wish to see the truth of yourself, watch carefully in those same moments. What do you reveal? What do you become? In this way, life is always showing you both the character of others and the character of yourself. And if you accept the lesson, if you use it wisely, then every encounter becomes an invitation to awaken. And perhaps, in the end, this is the greatest paradox of all. You seek to see others, but you discover yourself. You look for the measure of their soul, but you find the mirror of your own. And in that discovery, compassion is born. For you realize everyone is learning, stumbling, failing, rising again. No one is finished. No one is complete. And so the two simple tests become not weapons, but guides. They show you where growth is needed, where love must deepen, where patience must ripen. And thus, in seeing truly, you learn to love truly. So go now and look, not with the eyes of judgment, but with the eyes of wonder. See how people move in the smallest details. See how they bend beneath the weight of life, and see yourself in them again and again. For the world is not made of strangers, it is made of mirrors. And if you can look deeply, if you can look honestly, then you will not only see others' character, you will see your own unfolding before your very eyes. And that, my friends, is the beginning of wisdom. And the gift of this seeing is not that you uncover the truth about others, it is that you awaken the truth within yourself. So look and keep looking. And in every act, in every storm, in every mirror, you will see not only who they are, but who you are becoming. And that, my friend, is the whole adventure.